Thomas Asante got free. He's in the box. Asante across. It's a goal. Yorenchi.
Yes, great goal there between Ghana and was that Canada? I can't remember what team it was. Great goal. Great goals all the way across. But here we are in the final stages, and with the final stages often comes controversy. And unfortunately, there's just way too much controversy in the world of soccer. As I was saying, you're listening to the Sports Spotlight with Rizwan. I've got on the air Shep and Manny with us. And boy, oh boy, at this point, when there's this much question, it just starts to bring the very integrity of the sport into question. But let's, I know right before the break, we were talking about the, or we were starting to get into the England-Norway match.
Well, it was in the vein of consistency from officiating.
Okay.
Is what I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
And that's, so when England played Mexico, right, Mexico got a penalty kick because Harry Kane kicked the ball in his own penalty box in a defensive action, and but a Mexican player jumped, put his leg in front of Harry while he was kicking the ball, and so he kicked the ball and the guy's leg. So they give Mexico a penalty kick, right? Fine. Against Norway, England's Jed Spence is slaloming through the box. He sees the defender. He's got control of the ball, puts his leg in front of the defender. The defender kicks through his leg to get the ball away. They give the foul. VAR reviews it, and they say, no, because he put his leg in front of the defender while the defender was trying to kick the ball, it can't be a penalty kick.
It's that uneven application again, right?
Uneven, all right? Like, you can't do that. And then, and that goes to what I said I was going to give a broadside against the officiating, again, for Switzerland, Argentina. And here's what it is. They were absolutely right that Briel and Bolo flopped and dove to try to get Paredes a yellow card last night. And Bolo should never have done that. He was already on a yellow card. Stupid decision on him, because if you get caught, you're going to get a second yellow and get a red. All right. But Argentina, the entire game, especially in the first half when they were up 1-0, was flopping, diving, doing everything they could, literally every time there was a duel between two players, and maximizing any bit of contact, no contact, getting away with ticky-tack fouls. Nothing happened. And the only reason why it was so bad for Switzerland is that VAR intervened. But the way the game was refereed, if you look at the stats of the World Cup, Argentina has the most fouls per yellow card acquisition. I can't remember what the ratio is, but I looked it up last night. Argentina can foul more without getting a yellow card than anybody else in the World Cup. Maybe that's a skill. France, on the other hand, gets fouled more often than anybody else without their opponent giving a card. England fouls the least often in order to pick up a single yellow card. All right? And it's, so at this point...
Least of these four, or least across the field?
No, it's across the whole field. So France get fouled more times without their opponents getting a yellow card. Like the ratio is the highest. Like, look at the France-Paraguay game. France gets 3 yellows. Paraguay gets nothing. And it was an exercise in just absolute dark arts by Paraguay, right? And the ref let it happen. Well, Argentina is the originator of the dark arts in soccer. I don't know how well versed you guys both are in soccer, but Argentina's had a reputation for dirty, underhanded play since the 1930s. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's been consistent, and it's easier to see now in high def, right? And I think that makes it harder on the officials because they do a really good job. It's a skill, and it's not one that I respect, but it is a skill to do what they've done. And I would argue that if you're going to use VAR, I think you should use VAR retroactively and go back and punish embellishments after the fact. Even if they don't catch them during the match. I mean, Argentina would be left with like Messi and nobody else on their team if they did that. But at some point, if you want to get that stuff out of the game, you have to start punishing or suspending people for flagrant, persistent infringements of the laws of the game. Because Argentina is just a master of that. And so it's why I can't pull for them. even though Messi's a magician and I love watching him dribble. It's just the entire team. And what is crazy is they don't play like that individually for their club teams. You know, it drives me nuts.
So,
from a fairness perspective.
All right. So I'm going to, especially with that last bit that you added there, right? Are they being coached to play that way? Or is it even more nefarious? Is it even more nefarious than that? Is it because they know that they are going to get the call or not get called?
No, I don't think that there's a set of orders that have gone out per se. Okay, to say let's not call Argentina for such and such. Last week I think you mentioned the 1980s Pistons, and the expectation was that they were going to be physical, so they got away with a lot more stuff. Well, I think there's this weird implicit bias that referees have that they know Argentina is going to do this. It's just part of the game. If they called them for everything, Argentina will be left with 3 players, so they can't do that.
Exactly.
Right.
But that creates an uneven field.
It does. It's truly unfair. And I was texting with my dad last night, and I was like, I don't know what I would do. And he's like, well, I know. I watched you play soccer as a kid. You'd have gotten a red card in about 15 minutes because you'd have turned around and put somebody in the hospital.
Yep.
I was like, yeah.
Call the foul. Call the foul.
Yeah, I'd been like, I would have been like, hey, okay, this is the way you want to play? You want to cry? I will give you something to cry about. I hope you enjoy your leg now being. I hope you enjoy your 4 legs. Those 2 legs. But the refs have to be the ones that police this. I mean, remember, Zlatan, after the Paraguay-France game, was commending the discipline of the French players. And he was like, I would have gotten 4 or 5 red cards in this game.
Yep. Off of retaliation, right?
Yeah, absolute retaliation. Because Paraguay was doing everything they could to provoke France. And France didn't respond. They really didn't. They showed extraordinary discipline in not responding. And they still had 3 yellow cards to Paraguay. That was the worst referee of all. Even though France won the game, that was the worst refereed game of the tournament, I think. Manny, I don't know if you agree. Did you watch that one?
That was the round of 16. France beating Paraguay 1-0.
Yep.
Manny, did you your thoughts on that one?
I didn't catch the whole match, so I can't really say. But I will say, in my opinion, yeah, I still think that Argentina was the worst, simply because, I mean, we got robbed of probably one of the best goals, like, of all time, right? So not only did they lose, not only did they not get some of those calls, but do you remember towards the end of the match, like, the referee was just handing out yellow and red, like, to the part of the staff and so on?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So I've seen other teams also get upset and get in their faces, but you may get one person, like, I don't know why I'm now again beginning to think the same thing happened with the other match, I think the France-Morocco one, where the referee was Argentinian, right? Versus in the Argentinian game, the referee was French. So you kind of have like, hey, tit for tat. We'll give you a referee in your match that'll be French. I don't know. There's just too many coincidences, and because of the inconsistencies in the calls, some blatant no calls, how Cabo Verde was like everything is. Look, sport is a lot of by chance and so on. So that's why you get these amazing, number 16 seed beats Virginia first time ever. So that's if you allow those, sort of huge upsets to happen. But if every chance you get, slow the game down, or you look the other way when a similar ticky-tack foul isn't called for the smaller guy, then yes, again, gets back to what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
This particular tournament, not just with the VAR and the inconsistencies against the smaller countries versus like the big ones, everything from how we treated, like I said, the Iranian players and so on, like it's totally against fair play when you're doing that. Like Somali ref that was sent home.
That was disqualified,
no other reason just other than he's from Somalia. Like he was chosen knowing the environment in America. So not only like these teams lose out on opportunities and chances to win, it looks like at every chance they got, they were, I don't know, like making an example out of them. Like I even saw clips where like two streams of spectators are coming into security, and every single Egyptian fan, whether they're wearing a hijab or not, is getting pulled over for secondary screening. So I don't know. I mean, that's just one example of just inconsistent behavior with who you're pulling aside to do a second one. What is it because they're Egyptian and they're from a Muslim country? So we gotta double scan them because they're all terrorists. Like, what is the rationale behind that? I don't get it.
Yeah,
But that's just one example.
yeah. So Manny,
My bigger beef is the on-field. Look, the government stuff FIFA can't control, right? That's outside of it. But the officiating is so the on-field officiating, like, well, because the other stuff is a political bucket,
Yeah.
and there's nothing like from a sporting perspective we can talk about. But the on-field officiating has just not been good enough.
Yep.
And that's like just to keep it like sports focused. That's the thing that and that it's been this. Look, I've watched that. The first World Cup I remember was '86, but the first World Cup I could really watch was '90, and you can tell that. And this is the biggest argument against soccer as a sport, even though it's my second favorite thing to watch after college football, is because it's such a low scoring game. The impact of officials' decisions is far outsized compared to other sports.
Yes.
And look, that the biggest example of that to me is the Argentina-Egypt game. Now, look, I know the Egyptian coach has been sanctioned for things in the past because of his or I guess technically off field because he's on the sideline, but his behavior, like the way he treats refs and whatnot. But man, I'd been pretty salty if I were him at the end of that game. Like that's why he and his staff were getting cards like it was candy on Halloween, right? Is because they finally lost it with that game. And it was specifically those two big decisions, each of which went against them. But I don't think there's an on the face of a conspiracy to hurt teams from the global south, as it were. But I mean, look, the reason why 7 out of the 8 teams in the quarterfinals were from Europe is because Europe has the most money and resources to build the technical soccer academies. I mean, look, Morocco is essentially the French number 3 team, right? Like all those players from Morocco,
they played through
most of their academy training in France, and they could have played for France if they were good, with the exception of Hakimi, who I think grew up in Spain. The Moroccan players got most of their soccer education in France. And if they'd wanted to, they could have played for France, but France is so deep that they can send 2 teams to the quarterfinals. One from France and one from Morocco, right?
Yeah.
But it's a technical skill issue and application of resources. But I don't think there's like a conspiracy to put like more European teams in the quarterfinals. And I don't even think there's a conspiracy outside of possibly the Messi-induced betting angle, which I don't know how you'd ever prove that. But Argentina there.
But valid.
But look, the Argentina thing is weird. Okay, yeah. Like they've gotten literally
they've gotten away with murder.
Every decision has gone their way. Look, yeah. I was talking to my wife about this morning before we came on. I said, this is not a compliment, but I think if the Argentine players decided they needed to make a sacrifice to ball to win a game, they would. However, they had to do it in order to win a game in the World Cup. They would if they had to sacrifice someone to a dark god, they would absolutely do that to win a game.
Yep.
It's just, and they've been that way for 90 years. It's astonishing. But they also have 3 World Cup victories, which is a lot compared to the rest of the world.
Yep. So look, we could probably talk about this for weeks, if not months. But here's what I'd say. If these refs were absolutely incompetent, that would be one thing, right? That would be something tangible that you could grab and say, FIFA, go fix this. But it just doesn't feel, when there's this much of an uneven application within the game, across the games, leaning toward specific teams, that's not that's not incompetency. That's intentional. That's intentional application of whether it's conscious or subconscious. We can talk about that, but there is no doubt that there is a greatly uneven application of the rules, and that just I'll go back to what I said almost at the beginning. For me, that brings into question, and really, I think here FIFA is beyond bringing it into question. This is I have lost faith in the integrity of the sport, and that's something they have to fix. They have
Yeah,
to fix.
I agree. So domestically, it's not nearly as bad as it is in the international game.
Yep.
And I know you don't watch the domestic leagues, but I spent a lot of time watching the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and the Spanish league. And you've got calls that I disagree with. I think Manchester City has gotten the benefit of the doubt a lot more in the past, but like even City doesn't get the benefit of the doubt the way Argentina has in this World Cup.
That's what, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like we haven't even talked about the other side of the bracket where France has just blown everybody away.
Yeah,
okay? I mean,
dominant.
They literally, Morocco's really good. Okay, they're a really good team, and France just, I mean, they could have won that game 4 or 5-0.
Yeah, I remember you guys.
When I texted that the other day, Manny was kind of gave me the emoji shade, which I understand because I was pulling for Morocco in that game because I thought it'd been neat upset. But I mean, France, just like it didn't seem like they got out of second gear in that game. And Spain, look, they have problems scoring, but they just don't give up very many chances.
Good defense.
Right? Like it's really hard to score against Spain. And I think France and Spain are the two best teams in the tournament. I think the winner of that semifinal is going to be your overall World Cup champ.
Well, I don't know if they'll be able to overcome Argentina and the refs.
I think look, I think Spain is actually more well positioned to win that game than France. Ironically, even though France is better from a technical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I think England's better than Argentina. I have zero faith that given the way this game has been officiated, or the way this World Cup has been officiated, that England's going to come out of that game with 10 players or 11 players on the field.
Yep.
And it's going to be rough for them. And look, Messi, by the way, he's still really good. Like,
yeah.
All officiating controversy aside, right? Like Argentina is still a good team. England's better. Okay, they just are. But I would not look. I don't bet. I always say this. Right? I don't ever bet. But I would absolutely not place any money in this game.
Yeah, kids. That's why you don't bet on sports. Yeah, I mean, look. I look at these 4 teams in the semifinals. I go France, England, and Spain, maybe a tied at second, and then Argentina.
I would go France, Spain, England, Argentina.
Well, that's what I said. France won, England and Spain in second, and then Argentina. But yeah, so you're saying France, Spain second, and then England.
Yeah, France won, Spain 2. Like Spain, they just gave up their first goal of the tournament.
I know. It's crazy.
Okay, so like it's not always the most exciting.
And that was against a really good Belgium team.
Yeah, and that was a great play by Belgium. Like and it was a tight goal. Like he had to really contort himself to get that header off.
Yeah.
And look, Spain's problem is because they emphasize control so much that they don't take as many risks passing the ball, and therefore they I think they have a harder time creating.
They don't get opportunities.
Chances.
Yeah,
they create chances, but their big chance creation is not as high.
Yeah.
But man, look, it's gonna be an interesting game, France and Spain, because France has 3 creators in Elise, Dembele, and Mbappe that are just amazing. So they can break down systems, each one of those 3. But Spain just doesn't get their system broken down, and they just keep the ball.
Yeah,
they just keep tick, tack, like all over the field. Like it's going to be, excuse me, all over the pitch for my British friends. But I mean, it'll probably be the highest level game played. And then in Atlanta on the 15th, you're going to have a game where some
A
of the
bloodbath.
most and England's going to try to engage in the dark arts too. They know what they've got going on
Mhm.
with Argentina, right? Like they will try to match the Argentine spirit, as it were. That's going to be a knife fight.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I think that's exactly what we're going to see is tactically sound or technically and tactically sound soccer on the France-Spain side, and a bloodbath, a knife fight on the England and Argentine side. Hey, Manny, I want to get your thoughts in the next 5 minutes. Shep, you got to go after this, right?
Yeah, I do.
So let's spend the next 5 minutes. I think it's been 7 days, 6 days since Monday night. So the disappointment, we're over the disappointment enough where we should be able to talk about it. So let's talk U.S. soccer. Manny, what?
Just not good enough.
Yeah, yeah, Manny, what did you see in that Belgium-U.S. game? Like, how? I didn't expect us to get embarrassed like that against Belgium. Did we lose Manny? We might have lost Manny.
You might have lost Manny.
There we are.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I was on mute, sorry. No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the whole country was galvanized. The fact that we, did win our group, so expectations are even higher. We're hosting, and this is the team that has the talent on paper to go at least as far as the quarterfinals as we did a few years back. So I think, I hate to just again be that guy, but this interference by the president, and I really feel that put just an extra amount of pressure, because it'd be one thing if it was done right in the dark of the night and no one knows and he's denying it, but then to also like the day before flat out
Put it out
say,
there.
oh yeah, I called him. Now that put up even more pressure, because now there's the Belgians complaining and so on and so forth, and people like us who, or even others who are not Belgian or U.S. fans, they are all of a sudden piqued interest, right? Like what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean,
It builds animus where it doesn't need to be.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, and Manny, we'll definitely. I've got a lot of thoughts, and we'll definitely get into that in the next segment. But yeah, so ultimately, though, without that, the team just not good enough. As you said, just this team is talented enough to get to the quarters, but that's about it. Shep, anything from your side? Like, did you see a difference? Because I saw two different U.S.
we're not giving
teams.
enough credit to the Belgium coach's game plan in the first half.
Okay.
He changed his roster. He put De Bruyne on the bench. He put a more athletic group out there to really work on the U.S. counter pressing, and it really worked. Like, he did a great job. Pochettino fixed some things at the half, but that initial first half of Belgium was really good. Second, I think that our players looked far more hesitant than normal, and I don't know if it was because they were confused in the first half by what Belgium was doing, or if they were feeling the knock-on effect of the improper interference.
Yeah.
And then third, that was one of the worst goalkeeping mistakes I've ever seen by Freeze. He's not good enough to be a national team keeper. The problem is the U.S., for whatever reason, after a couple decades of strong keepers, doesn't have a deep keeper pool, and that was not. I mean, like,
yeah,
look,
and it wasn't just
a chance when he made that mistake.
Yeah, and it wasn't. Look, he played terribly, but it's not completely solely on the shoulders of the goalkeeper. The defense. I mean, every single one of the Belgium goals, or at least the first three, they were due to defensive breakdowns.
They were mistakes. And look, Bream, who's, God bless him, our captain and 36 years old, just got out physical for that header, right?
Yeah.
Even though I think it's a foul if you use the other guy's shoulders as a launching off point, it doesn't really ever get called. So at least that's consistent. I think it should be a foul, but it's not. So my beef is, kind of wailing into the wind. But, like, he's got to be more physical there and not let the guy jump over him.
Yeah.
And he just didn't. And it was a bad giveaway that led to the first one, bad spacing. I think that his team wasn't mentally prepared for that first half. And then when Pulisic got hurt, and by the way, there's some critics out there that owe him an apology. He fractured his leg.
Ooh.
Okay.
So for once, a soccer player was not flopping.
So he took himself out because he broke his leg.
Sheesh.
You jerks. Okay, all those people were like, he's soft. Well, maybe he is made of glass, but even, Mr. Glass did break a lot of bones, right? So, like, if you have a broken bone, I'd like to see you play a game.
Yeah.
Look, Belgium is on the tail end of their golden generation, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
They're just better than us, and we're
showed.
basically around a 16 talent team.
Yeah. Got to get better. Just not good enough. Yep. All right. Here's a time for another break. Shep, thank you so much. Wonderful insight as always. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Manny, you and I are going to be back after this break. I was going to say a short break, but there's going to be a long break. Coming up, more soccer and other aspects of the sports world right here on the Sports Spotlight with Rizwan and Manny.
You're listening to Radio Azad on
KDXX
107.9 FM
HD4 Louisville.
To get the full Radio Azad experience, download the Radio Azad app from the App Store or Google Play and take us with you everywhere.
Yo, foodies, ready to upgrade